Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's stream. I'm Wendy. I'm here with Maddie. Edmar's off for the holiday. As you might know, here in the United States, we are getting ready to celebrate a holiday called Thanksgiving, where we share a meal with all of our family and friends that we are grateful for. And I cannot think of a better way to start the holiday off by celebrating it with our guest, Damien. Before we get started, I want to bring up just a couple of announcements. First of all, the Winter Art Contest, our next, our next live stream, we're doing a really fun holiday stream, and we'd like you to submit your Winter Art Contest. So get your, you know, get your scene together. Basically tell the story of how you celebrate the holidays, and we'll share it on that live stream. The other thing that I want to talk about is I need you to join the Community Insider Program. It's at nvidia.com/omniverse/community. If you have experience creating or developing with Omniverse, then sign up now. We have a huge network of partners that need your expertise. So get on there, sign up. You can add as much information or as little information as you want. But we definitely would, and let us know if you're available for our partners to contact. But it's definitely a great way to network and to get, some contract work and stuff for Omniverse. So with those two announcements, I'm going to hand the reins over to Maddie, who's going to start us off with today's stream.
Thanks, Wendy. So yeah, we have Damien here. We released code 22.3 yesterday, I believe. So we have Damien here to talk about what's new in code, what's new in Kit 104, and a very exciting release. We have a lot of new features and new tools to play with. So, Damien, take it away.
Great. Well, thank you, Maddie. Yeah, Maddie's got some good stuff to show as well. So I think a couple of weeks ago we did the 104 create live stream. Aaron was actually there. He showed a lot of really cool feature that was built for that release based on the Kit 104 SDK. And so we felt that that's great. We're building a lot of tools with Kit every day, and we have hundreds of engineers really building a lot of great stuff. But we also know that many of you are building extensions, starting to build apps. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that. I've been asking us about C++ plugin, so we wanted a platform to share a little bit more what's going in those space. So today is really always a session for you. You're on the streams, you're on Discord, you're on whichever channels, hit the comment queue and ask questions, make it your sessions. So you tell us, what you want to hear about, or if you have particular things, both Maddie and I will be super happy to have particular question and answer them. But otherwise, we'll do is sort of a roundup of where is Kit 104, right? Is the investment of all year, but the last 6 months in particular really invested into some key technologies and enabler for you to build things. We'll talk a little bit about those. I'll just show a couple of visual slides that I have from GTC, just so you get some visual, and then we'll talk about those 3 new possibilities, or 2 really main new possibilities that you have to participate, right, to the platform. As always, you can build extensions. You've been able to build them for a long time. We've talked a lot about it. They are in the extension. There's an extension template, but we'll talk a little bit about how do you get discovered, how you share it with people. Just to recap, right? You can build extensions. Once you know how to build extensions, now you can build apps. So again, we'll just quickly go over what that is. Maddie will show a great example of an app that he built, for you really to kind of give you a little bit of the process to go from template to app. And now, sort of like next level, you can build C++ extensions, and with those, you can combine them with other Python extensions. You can combine them into apps. And then we'll open up a little bit without telling too much, but a little bit because you joined us today on what we're starting to work for 105, which is coming next year, but also a little bit of a, Kit is really made for the developer. What drive 105, the next version, is a large community of NVIDIA developer that is trying to build the next big AI things, the next big animations or world building tools. They ask us about the things they need improving or the new feature they want in the platform, but it should also be you, right? You're going to build the next big extensions on something, the next paint tool or scatter this, or you're going to make a mini games and you need this spatial type of control. You're interested in that VR, AR. So we're definitely keen to hear from the community and these new entrepreneur people, building their company on Omniverse. What do they need? Because of course that's also really, really important, and we want to be able to map out this feature in the platform, so they come to you. So let me just share a little bit that this. Okay, so Matty, you could confirm that you're seeing that. Okay, so I won't go into presentation. I just want to pick a couple of slides, just a recap that those slides come from our GTC fall presentation. And so you can access that really easily, on our GTC.
Sorry, Damien, I got to cut you off. It looks like it. There we go.
Okay, there
it's working.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Anyway, so those are the slides from GTC. You can watch the full presentations. I'm not going to go over the presentations. I just want to recap a few things that are super important always. Kit is loads of things, and all of them are available to you as a developer, like collaborative storage with Nucleus, all of these plugins that get your data in and out of USD from all of the applications. Of course, Kit, we talked about it. You can do loads of simulations. You have warp, you have physics, you have dynamic distractions, loads of tools that you can use in your app. And of course, you have the amazing renderer, right? So all of those always available to you. They help you make those great apps or great extensions. And then, in Omniverse, everything comes and goes through USD. That's why interchangeable, great place to learn about it. It's the HL of the metaverse of the future. So you absolutely want to learn about it, how it works, and use it. And you have plenty of resource on our website. So I'll gloss over a couple of things. Just everything you see in our apps, Create, View, Machinima, Isaac, they are built using the same SDK that you have available. Some of the lower level technology, sometimes some of these apps are using, but by and large, they use the public API. So your app, it could look like this. Granted, you'll need to do some work, but we're providing a lot of these building blocks already. Your app could be an animation, keyframer, or really interesting things. Your app could be built on Action Graph. It could leverage all of these technology for you to build really interesting things. Again, we have plenty of widgets. One thing that we really invested over the last couple of months, continue, and we see a lot of really great things, is this manipulator, and the Scene API, we call it. Plenty of people. We have about 10, 15 manipulator in the platform right now, with a lot of people working on different ones, and then people from outside, building amazing one. This API continue to really, really improve. The other things that came out also, those are, okay, 104, right? The new viewport is super powerful. So you can really leverage it to build your own menu. Now we're seeing a lot of people adding their own menu, creating menus and doing things there. And so that's super programmable. And then also you can easily, insert those manipulators there. In 104, we've added these, let me just click here, these actions. And there's about 300 actions already. So you can go into code or into Create and look at the action window and search for them. There are like 300 API that you can use in your applications to build your automation, change this, change that. And we're constantly adding some. And here again, it's a good opportunity. If there are things you wish were actions and you don't find them, please talk to us on the forums. We can collect them. We'll add many more for 105 and forever more in the future. They're also super easy to write for yourself, right? You can just write a simple Python functions and it become an action that you can call from anywhere in your program. And then here you can execute other people's actions. So go back to these presentations. There's great reviews there. Again, you can find them and search for them. And they're also used into these new hotkeys. So again, another possibility for you when you create your custom apps. The other feature that we've added across the summer, it's not exclusive to 104. Technically, 103.5 already had it, but it's continued to be refined, is all of these live collaborations. So this live layer is a really good way for you to make applications or extensions that are synchronized in between different people. So really powerful workflows there that you can use. I'll share a few things about the documentations because we have this new documentation that's really great. Again, I'm not going over these presentations in length because at GTC, for the GTC, we had announced 104, and then we shared a lot of these in detail. So if you've missed it, go and watch it. Certainly, you'll find a lot of interesting content there. Okay, so that was a quick recap on 104, some of the baseline feature and some of the states. Maybe I'm just doing a little break here to see if Matty or Wendy has a couple of people that have some questions, want to drive a little bit the agenda on the next phase. And then after we can talk about all of these great templates that we have for you, including Matty's use of it.
Yeah, not a whole lot of questions, but comment. I didn't know C++ was enabled. That's great to hear.
Okay, we'll go and show that into these various templates. So I'll go and go over those. Maybe yeah. What we might do to kind of spice it up a little bit, I'll show quickly the template for app, just to introduce that to people because that's new and maybe many people probably are still catching up with that announcement. Don't worry, we'll get back to C++. I promise, won't be missed. And then once I've introduced in the template, Matty will tell us a little bit how he went from that template to build this really cool app that he did in doing that. And then we'll discuss about some of the resources that you're going to have access to be able to do the same. And then we'll finish with C++ extensions to give everybody a bit of a run through of where that is. So let me just share.
There is one question here. Do you plan to have detachable viewports? For example, 2 monitor setups?
Yes. So actually, the good news is you can already do that on any window in the applications. You can right-click on the tab on its title bar and say "Move to external window," and then once you do that, your window will actually be draggable. Of course, what we want is to have it so it's automatic, right? You should be able to tear them off and drag them. There's a little bit of an itch if you do that. So for now, we do a manual dragging. You have to be explicit that you want to tear it off. And there are a couple of windows that use excessive pop-ups or certain things that we still need to figure out. But for many of the windows that you might need to split, you'll see it work perfectly fine. And then again, if you find some use cases that you want to support that doesn't, please let us know on the forum. We'll be happy to review those. But the tip of the day, you right-click on any window, move to a secondary window, and then you can tear it off and move it to a different monitors. Or if you have a widescreen, you can have some sort of different layout.
Cool. Thank you.
Do that. Okay. Let's just share. Okay. Okay. So here, the good old extension templates. So this one's still here. We haven't removed it. It's still super great. If you want to build an extension, that's the one to fork. You just go, you fork it. You've got all of the information. Remember that once you fork it, and then you follow the release process, you can make your extensions available in the registry of extension that NVIDIA show in Create. So if I do the topic here, you see that all of these with the topic kit extensions are extensions, our great contest winner, this VR Kitchen, some guy, Tony do a really amazing extension for developers. AVAI is showing some components to do some create UI inspired with React, and all of those, they get available inside Create or Machinima or other apps that will support that in the future. So it's a great way for you to create and share with your peers. So that's where it starts from, the Kit app template. So I'm briefly going to talk about what the new app template is about, and then Matty will take over and share what he did with it when he forked it from the repo. So the app template is really a baseline, a starting point for you to create an applications. In the documentations, just see. In the documentations, we show what are the different pieces, how to rename them, how to create them. We show a couple of example apps. So, for example, a very simple app that doesn't use 3D or USD, migrate window. A simple editor apps, or there's another one which is kind of like a viewer app, which has mostly the menu and some side windows. And again, it shares on how to choose the names. Remember, most of these apps are built with very little code added. In those cases, a simple setup extension. Think about it like your main, right? It's what like help you set up the app. Matty will talk about how his setup is, and then at least one extension. Technically, you could have 0 extension if you wanted, but you want to add some feature to your app. So here we have a simple extension. It could be anything, a window that does something useful. It could be hundreds of extensions, but it has to start with one. And then this is the one that makes your app, a little bit unique in what it is. So yeah, Matty, why don't you take it over the screen and then you show what you did when you started from there?
Sounds good. All right. I'm going to show the app first so that then we have something to refer to. So here's the app all packaged up. I unzipped it, and this would be the entry point right here, this batch file. It's going to go ahead and start up here. And my window's off screen, but it's coming. Cool. And so pretty familiar layout with what we have in the Omniverse apps. We have the viewport, content window, the stage window, and the properties window. And what I've added to this app is this main window here, which is the conversion manager. So this is the asset converter app that I've built here. We've had users, we've had for a long time now, API script so that you could script conversion from GLTF, OBJ, FBX to USD, and it could also go the other way. But we have a lot of users that don't have scripting knowledge and they want to be able to do this as well. So I whipped up this quick app. It took about 2 days learning how this all works and putting it together. And most of it, was I was able to leverage a lot of what was already available in Kit, and I just had to put all my business logic in this window here. So I can choose a file that I want to convert to USD, and here I can choose individual files, or I can just choose a folder and it'll crawl through it and find all the files in there for any type that I specify. Then I can choose which format I want to output to and any conversion settings that I want to apply when it runs. And then it goes ahead and adds them to this queue here, the format that it's going to, and the path to the file that I added here. I can remove them from the queue. I can go ahead and add more jobs to process. And by default, it'll export to the same directory as the source file. But in this case, I'm going to dump them all into one folder just to make it a little bit easier for showing this in the demo. So I've got an output folder here. Select that, and I'll run it. And so those are all going to run, and I don't need to manage it or anything. Those will do their thing. And then I can find here my USD files all outputted with their textures, and I can go ahead and open them and preview, make sure everything's good. And there you go.
Nice.
Some interactive ray tracing there. we support converting animation. All of that works. And then let's look at one more here. This water bottle. So these are all GLTF files that are part of the GLTF samples. You can see here it got the emission texture and everything. And so now what I want to show is we can also export back to GLTF or some other format. So I'll go from USD, choose this water bottle that we're looking at, and I totally did not look at the settings here, but I'll choose GLB for the output. I have OBJ, FBX, and all the other ones, and I'll add it to the queue, run it, and there's the GLB. And so now I've got a web viewer here for the GLTF, and here's my output folder. So I'll go ahead and drop that in there. And there I've got full round tripping. In this case, it's lossless, but if you're going from USD as your source, you're not going to be able to fit everything into GLTF. But in this case, you got nice lossless round tripping. So pretty great. So now let's take a look at how I did it. All right, so here's my project. I started with the kit app template, and then I just went through and renamed some of these things. Like, for example, here in the source folder, I have my kit file. I've started with the editor app, and then chose which extensions I do and don't need.
One good thing about that editor app, once you see it, there's a couple of example app as we saw there, so you could choose from these slightly different versions. We've really sort of like overly commented every single lines and explain what they are, and sometimes they're still there but they're off sometimes, and so as you go over that list, you can also get a good sense of what extensions you might use and turn things on and off, right? So it's a good way to experiment. Those kit files are sort of ready-made for you to kind of have a play around and turn things on and off. Hopefully they're kind of well documented, all these settings for the app. But again, please comment on the different forums if you're having difficulties or you need more information. We'll be happy to kind of over time improve the documentation of these samples.
Yep. And then so that's the kit file that basically configures the app. And then for the extensions, I just have two here. I have the setup, which I largely copied from the template, which for the most part, what it's doing is it's loading a layout file that I went in here, laid out all the windows the way that I wanted, saved it out, and then I also did a review version of this. So I don't care about converting. I can just go ahead and browse my files and load them one at a time to review. So all of that's good. And then also I went through and set up the menus the way that I wanted. I didn't want all the typical menus. I wanted it slimmed down. So there's no create menu or anything like that. Just exactly what's needed for this workflow. So that's a setup app that's going to run first as soon as the app launches. It runs last to make sure that all the other extensions have been able to start up, and it lays everything out at the end. And then this is my asset converter manager, and it's got a couple of advanced-ish widgets. It's got a queue, a tree view, and I have a delegate for how I want each item drawn in the queue, which is this conversion widget. And here I say, here's the X button and the to format and from. And then a lot of the work is being done in this model, which is leveraging the asset converter extension. So for each item that I add to the queue, I have this model for it. And then when I'm ready to run, I just tell them to all to create a conversion task and run those conversions. So that's the gist of it.
Right. How many lines of Python do you look like these extensions about? It doesn't feel, maybe 500 maybe.
Yeah, I think so. It's not a lot, and like
Yeah, maybe between 500 and 1,000 line of code, right? And tens of
Yeah.
files. It's a full applications, right? As the people have seen, it convert these bottles, has a bunch of settings. There's some logic, some queue, some progress, right? It's not just a simple things. And it goes quite quickly, using the API. Once you build that, what was the sort of the process for you to build that? Did you build it inside this application? Did you build it in code? Could you share to the group what was your?
Yeah. So for the most part, the repo comes with a few scripts. There is the build script here, build.batch. That will go ahead and pull in everything into a nice bundled build folder. But this is Python, right? So for the most part, in this case, I'm not really compiling anything, but it is setting it up into a structure and pulling in dependencies for executing it. And to, basically, once I'm ready to package this, it's going to build it off of that build format. So here I have my target windows, release, and then here is the batch file that I can then test with. So I go into underscore build, windows, release, and then I can run that. And that once I really, if I'm not adding any new extensions or anything, if I've already laid out the code for the extensions that I need to include, I can hot reload from this point on. I can make changes to any of the extensions that I have that I'm writing code for, and it will update each individual extension and also update the app. So as I'm working on this conversion window, I'm changing code on the fly, and I'll get the updates immediately. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, for people that haven't yet experienced building extension in Python for Omniverse, first you should. Won't take you very long to get going, and you'll have fun almost instantly. But this is really one of the power feature of building this extension inside Kit using Python, is because the environment is entirely dynamic. Whenever you make these changes, so here Matty's going to demonstrate, right? He's going to look at some of these windows, he's going to have some ideas, he's changing some label, he's just going to save, and then instantly you're going to see this output reflected there, right? The application didn't blink, it didn't restart, no. So it is really, really fast to do this type of change. It is great once you sort of know the API and you run, because you're just kind of really thinking and then just type and save, and it just constantly reload. It's also really great when you discover, right? Because when you discover the reality is you're going to make mistake, right? We all do that. You're going to not quite be sure. You're going to need to experiment things. But if every experimentation takes just a few seconds, very quickly you're going to arrive to the right answer by just trying things out, right? It's going to error. If Matty was going to make an error here, it would show the error in the console. Then he would be able to say, oh yeah, I see what I did now. Then I'm going to do something else. And then he's going to, fix that error, save again, and then up it goes, and then now it starts working. So there's a really, really powerful iterative process there of discovery. And then we have other tools, that will show like this UI inspectors and other tools in code that you can enable to sort of discover some of these assets. But really the starting point, you use the template, you use these build tools, you spin up your app, and then you're able to iterate really rapidly in that environment with just the things you need without ever relaunching the application, which is very powerful.
Yep. So I'm not a very good coder, but I'm really good at breaking stuff and then figuring out what I did wrong and do it again, try to fix it again. So hot reload saves my life.
The other things that's worth mentioning there, because you're like, okay, yeah, but I still need to figure out how to do some of these things, right? You can't just magically discover them. Although, with Copilot these days, you'd be surprised what Copilot figure out. Right? This is the sort of Visual Studio or Microsoft code completion or AI-based code completions. But you also have access to all of the other extensions, right? And so Matty, on his some of these great videos, it shows how you can, in this project here, For Maddie, you could show that, right? So let's say I want to use image with provider. I'm not quite sure how that works. I've heard about it.
Yeah.
And then you want to find places where someone maybe uses it, so I can sort of learn from it.
Yeah. So first thing that I would do is I can, image with provider. Maybe I found out about that in the documentation. I can click through and control click, and I can see the documentation here. We have the code completion and also the IntelliSense and doc strings and all that. And then if I'm still not getting it, I need to see how to actually use this. I can come over here, put in my query, make sure that this is unchecked. And now I've got a bunch of examples here where somebody else has used. If I find a Python one.
Yeah, because one of the interesting, and why is that happening, right? Because Matti maybe didn't use this image provider in his code, but yet it's finding it there. When you build an application using these templates, it will do something that we call theme packaging. It will build your application on top of one other applications, right? The SDK, maybe Kit SDK, but more often than not, you're building it on top of code, corpus of informations, or create, right? Depending on what feature you want to have. And so your app is referencing another app as a dependency. It says everything in that app I can use if I want to. Right? I'll use whatever I want, and then you'll build your own extensions, but you can use everything as a reference. And so the application set up that this app become a dependency inside your project, right? This base app is there. And so that's everything that is in that case, code or create. And so by searching, you can search through this entire app. And then why is it powerful is because all of these Python extensions, hundreds of them, literally, right? Probably about 200 of them in Python alone inside Create, for example, they are entirely written in Python. And then we provide the source with those projects, and we leave the source there, and we, nicely with all of our best practices and our hard work at, making sure that they have the right structure, so you can find them. Right? So you can learn from them and you can discover them. And so you just search. I need these. I don't know how to do it, but someone in NVIDIA does. And so you search for it. You find a couple of good examples, and often it's just the questions of looking at that and say, "Oh, that's what I want." Right? Grab that snippet. You make a mental note of which the extension it is, because maybe some of its stuff it does is useful, and then you can really just copy and paste back into your code. And because you copy and then you save and it hot reloads and it just magically works, or doesn't. So sometimes it happens. And so you have to fine tune a few things. It is a very and fun iterative process to build these apps, all in Python. I know you want to talk about C++, but if you like compiling, you can do that too. But if you don't like to wait, Python is your friend, and it's hot reloading and it's very iterative and it's very fun.
So I do have a question sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
What should we use as a base app to start with? Code? When should we use Create? So
I generally code and create have almost the same base. There's a couple of things that are different. It's really about how they're configured. Code has the slightly darker skin and it's configured to be very focused on developer workflow. And so you could use code as a user because we configured it more for you as a developer. Often Create will have more of the other type of extensions you want. Over time, if you want a base that is a bit slimmer and you're trying to get something small, you could also link against Kit SDK apps from the launcher. We'll have those in the process. I think at the moment the easiest is to just link against Create, because you're gonna get the latest stuff. But Code and Create really are built on the same base, so they're very similar from what you have access to. And remember, when you build your app, you might build a more editor-like app, like Maddie showed, but you can also decide to do just a USD viewer with just a stage view and a property, or just a viewport to view assets or play animations. So you generally narrow it down to a very specific set of extension that your app wants to use. One thing that is important to discuss now is Okay, you've built that amazing app. I know you will. But now what? Right? What do I do with it? So there's two things there. First, it's a fork on GitHub. You can share it with your fellow developers. They can learn from you, right? You can share on that community, and it's very easy for someone to install from there because they just clone your repo. They just run the same scripts, and then it just shows up. We also going to have, and we'll document it a bit better over time. For now, there's probably some of the best ways. Some way to say package, right? And then you'll be able from your repo to package a release, and that will package just your code, right? You'll just package your extensions, the setup, and then the my amazing asset converter extensions. And so it'll be a small zip that you can be hosting on GitHub, for example, as a release, version 1.0. And then people can download those. And then when they receive it and unzip it, they won't have create from there, right? But they will just get it from us. So they will do this linking, and then it will just talk to their launcher. They're gonna have to have the launcher and get an Omniverse create from us, but that's all easy, and they should anyway. It's fun, and then they can run your app. What's great is because the way the licensing model work is, because the other user bring their own license. And remember, they can be an OVI, an individual user, and so for them it was free, right? They just enjoy that great technology, and then you just distribute your app. You do what you like. You give it for free. You charge $100, $1,000 because it's so amazing. That's on you, right? It's completely fine for you to have your own distribution mechanism there. We are working really hard with the launcher team, so you'll be able to onboard your app in the launcher. So you'll be able to publish your app to the launcher, so you can get discovered easily. And when someone say, asset exporter, Matty's app will come here with 5 stars, and everyone will say, save my life. Now I can, convert my 1,000 GLTF in USD finally. And so we'll have a platform for you to be able to be found and redistributed. But generally, it's really easy. And then you package small apps, and people just bring their own Create or Omniverse license with them. Cool.
Very
You can look at what Matty talk to us there to tell us your process of discovery, your questions, and what you want to build. But we expect to see some great apps showing there on the launcher. Remember to put the kit the kit extension topic. I think, Matty, we should probably just do a kit app topic. Yeah, maybe we'll figure out something. Yeah. We'll let you know. Update the documentation there so we can see your great apps showing up. So maybe before we talk about C++, yeah, is there some questions?
Yeah, we got some questions.
Cool.
Does NVIDIA see Omniverse being geared more towards virtual production and art, or more engineering and simulation enterprise software?
I think we see it as a platform for developer to build their 3D and virtual simulations, virtual world, metaverse ideas, right? Yeah. Our customers and our partners, they range from all of these fields, right? You have all of the AI crowd that does synthetic data generations, is training model to detect doors and puppies and cats, and they use SDG, synthetic data generation for that, and they use Omniverse code and replicator, and so there's a large body of people doing that. We have a lot of people doing visualizations, not necessarily just virtual production, but visualizations in architecture, in constructions, in molecular physics. Well, lots of people doing, using the power of the hardware and the ray tracing to visualize very complex world, from the uber large to the super small but very detailed one. And then we have media people, building game pipelines to build the assets. building simulation virtual productions, film pipeline workflows within a hybrid environment, right? They still use traditional DCC with the connectors, could be Unreal or Houdini. They also use sometimes offline renderer to do films where they use Renderman or Arnold to do the final frames, but they use Omniverse as part of these workflow to make the pipeline easier. So I think anybody that wants to build complex, real-time, rich graphics workflows, we hope Omniverse can help them, and we think it will.
Cool. Do we have another one? Everybody's really excited about Magic 3D. Have we said anything about that coming to Omniverse yet?
Yeah, we're working with those teams. Magic 3D, and it's so just for the general group that maybe haven't heard about Magic 3D. So I think unless you've been living under a rock, about Stable Diffusion, and DALL-E 2 and all of the generative of image-based painting. Actually, not so long ago, NVIDIA kind of shared a model, some research they've done on that similar type of topic called EDF for diffusion. It's kind of similar to Stable Diffusion. It has some really interesting characteristic around painting world and some really high-end quality output as well. And follow up that work. Similar to what you've seen, from Google with Dream Booth. I think it's called effectively prompt to 3D object. So now it's kind of the next level. You do a prompt. It sort of does a lot of representation of that object from different point of view, and it nerfs them. Again, if you haven't know, just go on your Google and start learning all these AI things. But it's very interesting. And so Magic 3D is using some similar technique. The paper was released. The video of the paper was released recently. Effectively, it's a prompt to 3D model pipeline using Nerf and Edify. And so we even in the paper, there's actually some of these models showing in Omniverse, and we're working with all of these AI team to more deeply integrate. But if you think about it, it's no different than what we've just seen, right? Omniverse Kit today has a way to build UI, way to do inference of models, way to run tensor graphs, and then a way to display images on your viewport. And so with these teams, we collaborate to have effectively kit-based front end for this work, and it generates images that you could apply to texture, for example, or it will generate 3D models that you can insert into your 3D world. So again, there it's Omniverse Kit as a platform to build 3D and AI tools. So yeah, Magic 3D is definitely cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's. We said C++. I can hear someone saying C++. They told me they were going to talk about it. It's only 15 minutes left. Oh my God, if they don't talk about it. So let's make sure I don't get into trouble. So don't want people to really be annoyed. So let's talk about C++. So let me go back to, let's see which one it is. This one. Okay. Let me share my screen again on this one. Okay, so here we are. So same as the other one that we've looked at, the app template that is in our GitHub repository, NVIDIA Omniverse GitHub. Remember, there's plenty of really cool things to find. You had Kit extension template for C++. So the premise and the layout of the repository should look familiar to you now if you look at the other two, right? And it's in purpose, right? These three repositories really have a very similar format because it is the format that we also internally use for all our apps and extensions, right? It uses our own build system, the same one that we use internally. So this way, it's really easy for us to push these updates and for you to kind of learn exactly how these things get built. And then you have, the really easy to build system, just build, and you have source applications that are, testing some of these things, so you can enable them quite quickly and test them in principle. And then you have these extensions. So we have about 7 or 8 C++ extension today that shows you how to build different things. The Hello World is the simplest one. Again, they're similar. They use this pre-make. Our build system use this pre-make, sort of like Lua target, but by and large, you shouldn't have to change almost anything there if you pick the right template for the type of things that you're trying to build. And then there is your source code in the plugin. You'll see that the Hello World is very simple. It shows how to make one of these extension objects that has a startup. Again, if you've learned through the Python one, you'll see that when this extension get loaded, it will trigger the startup. That's your entry point. That's where you can do some code. When you will unload, it will do shutdown. Although, as of today, most of the C++ extensions, they are not able to hot reload. Technically, it's possible. There's just a lot more subtleties to C++ extension hot reloading. And by and large, for complex one, it tends not to work very well. So we focus, on making sure they unload correctly at the end, but they won't hot reload fully. So in C++, you will have to rebuild and relaunch your applications. But shutdown is where you clean up. Here it shows, a small function that will tick. So on update, on every frame, you can run a small functions. Here it just prints a counter. So that's really your simplest Hello World extension C++ that you can start with, building it, trying to see what happened. After, what we end up doing is we focused on a couple of the interesting entry points that people have said they wanted to be able to do. So people have said they wanted to be able to interact with USD from C++. Maybe your tool or your library is doing a lot of heavy USD manipulations, and then you don't want to do that in Python because you need to be able to be extremely fast or have some things that require performance. So these extensions, Omni example CPP USD, is building an extension that will interact with USD. So again, here in the pre-make, you will do all of the right things to link against the right version of USD, use all the right flags, so you don't have to really worry about that. And in the plugin here, this one has access to USD API. So this plugin will now be able to access the USD API, the normal USD API that you know and love from Pixar. And then here we have some functions. In that case, there's a function that creates a bunch of prims, that remove them at the end. A couple of, again, all interactions just to show you a bit of examples. And then this one has some timeline events where time sticks is moving these primitives, right? Again, you'll look at these codes, not very 300 line of C++. That's mostly the extent of the custom code. The rest is the same structure that you see for extensions. There's also a little bit of an example on how to do the Python binding using PyBind 11. So you'll see, again, here you can look at our example. By and large, you just copy. You don't have to learn PyBind 11 in very much details. You'll see that, in general, you just reference methods in your C++ class, and then you give it a name on your Python class. And then those will be then available in your scripting. And then on your Python script, you are able to call this interface and do a few things. When you create this C++ plugin, you're able to do like it does here. You're passing the stage from Kit, the stage ID effectively, from Kit into your extension. So there you can reference it, and then your C++ side can interact with the exact same 3D stage that is inside Kit, and this way they interface to each other correctly. So again, there's the one there. I'll show the documentation after. Those get detailed. There is other things that you can do in C++ also, which is those actions. Remember, actions, they're like API, but you can trigger them from anywhere inside your code. They're also pretty simple, right? Really, technically, you just have to worry about this one file here. That is where your function your function is, and in here, this doesn't do much. It's just creating some printouts. But you can you can implement those and have some function that will do some work from C++, maybe calling into your library or something like that. You can do commands. Remember, commands are different than action because they provide you an undo mechanism. So commands are really suitable if your work is involving changing USD, and then you want the user to be able to undo what they've done. And then we have a couple of those other ones in a way to make an OmniGraph node. Again, here you have a template. So from the template, you'll be able to, that's not this one, in the plugin version, you'll be able to see how to make the nodes and then implement the computations. Actually, I think in that one, the computation happened in that OGN node. So that's where you see actually they're not very difficult. You write this compute with your input and your output, and then you just do some processing, and then this will be included into your graph now. So again, great example on how to do nodes. We've also provided a way to do OmniUI widget. You can't do full windows because those ones still have to be coordinated through the Python layer, but you can create full widgets. And then once you have these widgets, let's see, it's here, you are able to instantiate it inside your UI window. So here, this very simple widget will use the IMGUI backend. Again, if you write widgets, you have to learn a little bit about IMGUI, which is what's the backend of OmniUI. Here, it just creates the rectangle, of a certain size. But again, there is more example coming. If you need that, you can ask us. And then a couple of things of USD physics, and then a couple of examples of binding. It's interesting as well, the C++ extension. If let's say you have a really great library, you have some amazing animations or rigging or deformation tools that you've built all in C++, and maybe you're using inside another DCC or game engine. You can use that library and then put it into a project like this one, PyBind, where you effectively leave your library compiled from somewhere else. You use it as an ASO file, but you just implement these bindings that will bind some of these methods to Python, so then you can use it in Create in any of these other type of workflows. So I think that's awesome. The 10-minute overview on the repository. That we've had quite a lot of feedback from people, starting to use it, build different things. There was a couple of issues, people wanting to use debug, but we're addressing them now. And then, please just go on the forums, let us know, if you need other samples of different kinds, if you need some support, the team will be really happy to kind of engage with you and think about your ideas. There was sometimes people ask, when should I do Python versus when should I do C++? And I think that's, what I tell people is, in doubt, do Python. If you don't know why, do Python. You have hot reload. It's easy to kind of debug and iterate. You've got all our source code. You can just grab it and you don't have to write it yourself, right? You just do a mashup. It's like a kit bash Python. It's really fast. And remember, all or many of the front-end extension like paints and particles and the anim graph or the graph editor, they're entirely written in Python, using the same API that you have access to. So most of these extensions that you really like, they've been written fully in Python, right? There's no, we tell you to do Python, but we do C++. No, it's actually not the case at all. We tell internally people the same. Why do you do C++? Please do Python. And then there are use cases where you need to use C++, and generally you know why, right? So if you have to ask yourself the questions, you're probably better off with Python. And then what happened and when you will find yourself wanting to have C++ is you already have a C++ library and you want to interact with it in C++ rather than having to do bindings and interact there. So that could be a good case. You need really high performance compute. You're doing tight loops, you're running over 1,000 things, you're doing these, kind of recursive loops and things like that. You need to use, pointer and smart memory management and all these things. Sure, that's what we do for our internal, right? Omni UI is written in Python, RTX in C++, RTX is written in C++, anim graph, action graph, they're written in C++ under the hood for this very reason. So absolutely you can do that. You want to create a custom widget. Again, there it's really on the edge, right? Most times you can create most widgets using Python fully, but it's mostly if you want to expose some feature of IMGUI, like there is some great IMplot, for example. We never really exposed that. You would use IMplot in Kit. You could use a widget to expose some IMGUI functionality, or we have a couple of cases, like we just shipped in 104 this great activity monitor, and then we were doing like tens of thousands of quads and rectangles and loads of places in real time. When we tried to do everything in Python, there was a little bit of overhead, and so we rewrote that core widget in C++ using the same API that you have access to, and then that alleviated that performance problem. The coordination still done in Python and it's Python window, but the really kind of performance critical code was moved to C++, and that helped. And so please do that in the right ways. That's absolutely going to be helping you, and let us know. Yeah, there's also this case, Damien. You didn't tell us about this case, but it's a very good case. Tell us, maybe ask us for a sample if you want it, but you don't know how to do it. There's other cases, and now you can, right? So,
Awesome.
but use it wisely. Don't hurt yourself. Please stay safe. C++ is difficult. When you can, just use Python. You'll hurt yourself less. Less cuts.
You heard it here. Stay safe when coding, developers.
Absolutely. Well, look, I hope everybody that you had fun. I know Maddie and I will always look forward to these moments where we can chat a little bit with you, although so hopefully at home you kind of got excited. You're building an app already. You've got a list of 5 ideas. Just need to figure out which one you want to start from. Tell us. We're here to help you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jump on Discord. We've got people on Discord all the time, developers on Discord all the time. So get on here when you're building your app, ask your questions, and we have a great community. So a lot of times the community is going to help you out. It's just awesome. So,
well, we're glad to be part of it. So.
Yeah. So in the heart of the holiday Thanksgiving, I want to, with all my heart, thank all of the community, the Omniverse community. Thank you for being a part of it. And be sure to check out the next live stream. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's a holiday live stream. So with all that, I think we're good to end the show today. Yeah, jump on the forums, jump on Discord, and stay in touch. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye, everyone. I'm seeing like watermelon and then
watermelon. I just discovered that feature. I love it. I want it everywhere now. I need swizzling emoji on my screen. That's gonna be my new thing. Someone needs to make an extension for that.
Yes, definitely.
Cool.
Bye.